Just push that call button, answer the question or two in the below the call button, and then beneath that there's still another call button. If you hit that, well, we have a caller. So let's say hello, Carrie. Welcome, young lady. How are you?
Hey, Michael, good. Michael and Jeanie, how
Good to
are
hear your
you?
voice.
Yours too. We've been listening to you daily to the Codependence to Interdependence workshop on
Oh, how's
video.
that going?
It is really going awesome.
Super good. I love it. Hi, Michael.
So good.
Hey there. Yeah, that
Even
that one, as you unfold and get into the later hours, there's some really super intense processing and some great stuff comes out of it. So I'll look forward to hearing from you as it
yeah,
unfolds. You've been at it what now for a week or so?
yeah, about a week. And just even, for me, you know, each of us has been exposed at a different level, and Maddox's daughter Tiffany is here with us.
Welcome, Tiffany. Hey,
And so it's kind of new to her, but she's a coach and does all kinds of really cool things. So I think she's having lights going on. You think so, Tiffany? Yep.
Yes.
Woman of few words at the moment only.
awesome. Well, some of it for you, Carrie, with the intensives you've done in the past will be a review, but I think some of the new material you're going to find just it tweaks everything. You know, when you
Yeah.
think of this whole thing we call life as an energy system, the openings happen when the energetic patterns align, and the patterns in our minds, the power person dynamics, of course, the focus of that particular workshop, when resolved, it just opens such spaces. It's pretty cool, pretty amazing.
Right. Yes, yes. Well, of course, for me, even all the years I've been involved in, we live this, in our daily lives. And Madik and I practice these tools daily. But, there's always a deeper level. You hear it again and you go, wow, that was a good one. And you were saying it was so nice to hear the explanation of the worksheet
Of
again.
the worksheet, yes, because I had the worksheet explained to me by Carrie. But it's just no compare listening to you go through it all, the lights going on, and even the energy itself being so high as we're listening to the different videos. I find myself swooning, just being pulled into unconscious as my brain is being rewired. It's amazing.
Well, that's exactly the goal, is to get that veil to open and to move each participant into process. And in this work, if you haven't come across it in that particular series yet, the definition we use of processing is the ability to hold love conscious, active, and present when something less than love comes up. And you go into the ancient teachings, they said the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. They weren't talking about a purple curtain in church. They were talking about literally the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious mind within the human
Wow.
form.
Uh-huh.
And so if you get that puppy to open in the presence of that, the energy of truth moving, then the level of reorganization in the unconscious is monumental.
Oh man, I can feel it. I feel the
Yay.
rewiring. I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. It's really beautiful. And Michael, I just want to say I honor you. I've known you since 1980. So what are we talking about? 45 years,
Almost a
right?
half a century, Carrie. That's oh my God, that's crazy.
Amazing. But,
Jeez.
I just really honor the work that you've done over these years. Just so much in depth and your own process, and then holding space for so many of the rest of us. I'm so grateful for this work, and so grateful for your depth of exploring it deeper and deeper and deeper, and bringing the experience out for others too. um, just really grateful. Just want to say thank you.
Well,
I'm
delighted to
I'm
be
also
on the
going
team.
to enlightenment.
Wait, just a sec.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Michael. What?
Well, I was just going to say that it's nice to be on the team and nice to be there to support all three of you. And when you talk about the whole process, when you realize that what we're asking people to do is literally open and develop the skill to access our genetics and the unresolved dynamics of every generation that went before us in our bloodline. It's a pretty
Yes.
monumental piece of work. And I'll be
Yeah.
excited to hear when you get to the still point breathing session in that intensive, what you each experience as the breath opens, because, you know, without breath, forgiveness doesn't occur. It's not possible.
Wow.
And that's where the still point breathing process comes in, and why the reminder is on the worksheet over and over and over again to breathe. Because, if you go back into the ancient teachings where, it wasn't quite clear, especially when it came out from the Greeks, that we were talking about an energy system. The Greeks talk about this thing called the Holy Spirit, as though there's some sort of disembodied spirit being. But in Aramaic, if you go back to the original mention of Rukha to Koodsha, it's literally speaking of the breath of the Creator. And we're told, nobody but the Creator can forgive, and most people through Greek brain cells interpret that as, yeah, only the Creator can let you off the hook for all the terrible evil sins and things you've done. But when you realize that the actual application of it in daily life, there's one particular passage that I've seen people, the misinterpretation of a passage in the scriptures that I've seen people literally suffer decades over. And that is, and I'm speaking about this in a reason because it's particularly germane to me at this moment, and I'll explain why as we unfold this. But the passage that the Greeks have fed to a lot of people and fed to them with a lot of fear is, the denial of the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. And
Uh-huh.
I can remember one guy in particular, he was probably in his 60s. And I mean, he had labored most of his life under the false belief that because when he was a young man, he had denied the Holy Spirit, according to his church, he really believed that he was going to go to hell when he died. Like he was going to spend
Right.
eternity in a hot fire. I mean, he actually believed that. And I've run into many people that believe that thing, that hogwash. When you go to the Aramaic, what it's saying is, in essence, there's only one power that knows how to move energy. It's not that the creator judged and therefore is the only one that can forgive you. There's no such thing in the creator's essence, in the whole of this energy system. There's no such thing as the creator's judgment. Although, you go back 2,000 years ago and they tried to get Yeshua. Remember that story about the woman that's caught in adultery? And what does he do? He blows off all the accusers to get them to look at why they're accusing her. And then he turns to her and he says, neither do I condemn thee. And
Right.
and yet churchianity is still trying to get, to convince people, well, just wait till judgment day, then you'll be judged and he'll condemn you. And the whole
Right.
thing is just based on fallacy. But the that story where the creation occurs and it says the creator sent out its breath, and the holding of the breath, the denial of the breath, is literally the denial of what in Aramaic was translated as the Holy Spirit. And it leaves us stuck with whatever's in our tissue, i.e.,
Right.
it's not possible to forgive until we take that hidden energetic dynamic and allow the breath to access it. And to open that veil to allow the breath into that depth is such an awesome thing. And again, the reason I'm bringing that up is because of me. This particular weekend, we did once a month, we have a Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club that meets. And we did a really powerful still point session. And this morning, last night, the day before yesterday, I had some quote unquote issues of the heart come up for me personally. And always and forever, since I've been aware of my own physical structure, since I've gotten into doing this work and really worked on becoming aware, there has always been a line of pained energy that, if I stretch a certain way, would show up what I would place as right in the center of my physical heart. That there was this pained energy that, ever since I've been aware, it's just always been there, and I've never been able to access it and never been able to move it. And after this issue came up, and this morning I was still point breathing, and all of a sudden I'm laying on my side, and I feel the energy in that exact spot start to move. My body lifts off the bed. It goes into kind of a contortion, lifts off the bed about maybe a half an inch and drops back down, and that pain's gone. And I had to do body work over half a century ago. I became aware of that. And it was this morning that energy moved in me, and so that's just reinforces on another level, and why I'm speaking about it today for the whole audience is the importance of being aware of and maintaining the literal connection. Rukha to Koodsha in Aramaic is what the Greeks translate as the Holy Spirit, and it speaks of the feminine elemental force in us that when we unleash it, undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. And it's just a physiological fact. It's got nothing to do with theology or church or anything else. It's just simple physiology. So I'm excited about when you get to doing the still point breathing, and I know you'll be able to facilitate that with your experience and work with this, Carrie. So I'm excited for you, Paul. Are you still with us? Well, according to my control panel, you're there, Carrie, but I'm not hearing you if you're saying anything. So perhaps you've disappeared. I'll tell you what, I'm going to, oh, are you back? Are you back?
Here,
I
and
heard you.
we're
You're
here.
there. Okay.
Oh, good. You know what? I think my phone went into rest mode or whatever, so you couldn't hear us,
Ah,
but we are still here. We did
okay.
hear everything you said, and we
Yes, and I can't wait to get to the breathing part. I've been looking forward to that ever since this series started.
Yeah,
and
and one of the things, the first time we did an online intensive, I wasn't sure that the still point breathing, because it's a real energetic process, I wasn't sure how it was going to work online, and it worked as well online as it does in person. So excited for you and
Well, I'm
yes,
us.
sure it works.
and
I'm
it
sure it works.
and what you just said, the openness of the breath is the creator's energy. It's the focus of Rukha Dukusha, and it's how we release from our physiology that which we've carried there, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's the only power. I mean, gee, there's a molecule in my body. Do I know how to move it? I have no
Right,
idea. Do I know how to move the content in it? I have no idea. But there's a power
right.
in me if I allow it access, if I allow it to go in and scoop whatever untoward energy is in the cell, if I allow it to move out, whatever untoward energy is in the gene, if I'm willing for it to be moved. Now, of course, willingness is a big key in the process, because oftentimes, and you'll be confronting the power person dynamic as you go through the videos, and oftentimes people learn from the power person that things that are absolutely, totally, and completely destructive are useful. Like, for instance, people, your power person might teach someone that, well, rage is how you stay safe. And if someone takes on that belief from their power person, because their power person is a rager, then and then they come to the awareness of, well, I really don't want this rage, and they say, oh, I want to get rid of my rage. I want to heal my rage. I want to heal my rage. But as long as they're holding the belief that their rage is something that will keep them safe, they're not giving permission to the breath to access that, and it'll stay
I
there forever.
understand.
It's not until we give up those power person beliefs and those power person dynamics that that power is able to access that particular issue and move us through it.
Nice. Let me ask you a couple questions.
Please.
One is, are you and Jeanie doing breath workshops still over near where you are, or no, not
Yes,
right
as a
now?
matter of fact, I've started to do a new process. Uh, well, actually, a year or so ago, kind of by accident, that I'm calling Quantum Still Point, and it's a
Nice,
3 and/or a 5-day personal intensive that I'm doing with people. I've actually got one coming up the first week in March. I've rented a house here in Bristol, Virginia, and there's a naturopath that I've worked with for the last 50 or so years, and I've been training him remotely in doing the quantum still point, because it's not something you can really fully effectively do on yourself. And so he's coming up here the first week in March, and rented a 3-bedroom house. So we've got room for a couple of people who want to come and do a 3 or 5 day personal intensive. So we'll be doing the quantum still point, which is the breath, along with a training in letting go of resistance in the body. You know, if you go to the Aramaic language, there's a word that has been so totally misrepresented, as most of the key ideas in Aramaic have been misrepresented. There's a word, Satan. And of course, the Greeks have taught us there's just some evil creature out there with the red suit, the tail, and the pitchfork that's out to get us. But in Aramaic, what the word Satan means, it's the resistor, one who misleads. And you watch the average person when you ask them to be responsible for their pain. And what do most people do? Wait a minute. No, you don't understand. It was all of them. There's their resistance. I mean, literally, the structure tightens up, the breath is held. And then they go into the story about how somebody else is responsible for what's happening inside of them. That's in Aramaic. That's the real meaning of being trapped in Satan. And most of the world today lives most of their lives there. I mean, just look at politics. Know? I mean, that's all literally Satan in expression. When everybody's, it's there, them. That's all literally the reflection of what's called Satan in Aramaic. And so part of the training in the quantum still point is finding the places where there's resistance in tissue and learning to let go of it on a tissue level, and therefore increasing energy flow. And as one does that, then bringing the antenna, which is the bony structure of the body, into alignment physiologically, so that a full flow of energy is able to flow through the structure, aided and assisted by the breath. And what
Nice.
I'm getting in the way of feedback, I've only taken a dozen or so people through the process so far, but what I'm getting is in the way of feedback is that what's happening is the dynamics, the power person dynamics that people are addicted to, that are stored in tissue,
Right.
i.e., let's say they do a piece of work on something, they go, oh, okay, now I'm finished with that. And then 2 months later, bang, up it comes again, up it comes again, up it
Right.
comes again. And what I'm realizing in doing this quantum stuff with people is that it's actually an addiction. And so people are letting go of their addiction to that power person dynamic, to that, literally to the pain stored in carbon-based memory. And in letting go of that pain, it doesn't mean that all their work is done. It's just that when their work comes up, they go, oh, here's another piece of work to do, rather than, oh my God, making that the end all and the be all of this particular moment again and again.
Very nice.
Right.
And then we've got, say it again.
Welcoming the issue and choosing to work through it and looking at it
Yes.
objectively instead of with all that emotion attached to it.
Yeah. Actually, it goes to another level than looking at it objectively. Ultimately, as long as we're processing things in our perceptual minds, then we're processing constructs from carbon-based memory from the past that can never be resolved. The idea of the forgiveness process, recognizing that what drives perception is our goals. And when I load a goal in my mind's going to take whatever data's in there. And if there's anything unresolved around that goal with pain and trauma, it's going to allow that energy to move. I'm going to turn it into a set of pictures that I think are outside of pictures of things outside me. I'm seeing what's going on outside of me, but really those pictures are painted by the mind on the inside of our eyeballs. And as long as I think that that picture is outside of me, I can never resolve that. And what the genius to me of Yeshua showing us that to cancel goals collapses that whole world. So
Right.
I'm not figuring it out anymore. I'm not playing in that realm anymore. I'm going directly to processing the energy through breath and the active presence of love. It's no longer happening in my head. You'll get to a part in the intensive where I talk about I've labeled the pseudo solutions of the non-being mind, of which I list out about a dozen or so. And the number one pseudo solution of the non-being mind, if you talk to virtually anybody on the planet that started to do their work and has issues, one of the things they'll tell you is, yeah, I'm working on figuring this out. And that's the number one pseudo solution. You can't figure it out, but you can forgive it. And when you collapse the perceptual construct, that comes from that energy, then you get to process the energy directly with breath, delivering the active presence of love to that energy. And that's what creates the transmutation and frees us from it.
I call it like defragging the biocomputer.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to say it. I've never thought of it that way, but absolutely, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will be
Michael,
doing another defragging besides that quantum still point at the end of, or pardon me, the beginning of May. We will be
okay.
doing a 9-day, why is this happening to me again, defragging the hard drive intensive here in Abingdon, Virginia. Let's see, I think it's the 22nd through the 22nd through the 29th of May. I don't have it right in front of me, but anyway, the latter part of May, we just confirmed it this morning. We've been working on
Nice.
dates. So we'll be doing a 9-day residential intensive instead of at Heartland here in Virginia
Nice. Will
in
those
May.
dates be up on your website?
Yes, we'll actually be sending a mailing out probably in the next day
Okay.
or two. Jeannie's over taking care of Ryan today, who's doing really well, and
Oh, good.
and Aria and Lincoln, and we'll be finalizing that and getting a newsletter out. So all but the flyers, the information for both of those workshops will be in the newsletter when it comes out.
Great. Let me ask too, this is really exciting because as we're talking to you, we are seeing the transcript being typed out automatically, which is really neat. And I know that I love this new Niddle platform. It's really a nice way to hop on a little
Yes,
easier than calling in was before. And we get notified every day. We say to each other, oh, Dr. Tim's on, Michael's on, and it's really nice, very
a
cool.
blessing.
And yeah, so I know Jeannie's been moving a lot of stuff from Blog Talk Radio, but can we still just go onto your website and find the transcripts and the recordings of these shows? Is that, how is that working? What's the
Actually,
directions for?
usually within half a day to a day, depending how busy things are here with babies. Having a newborn in our world has changed things a lot. And
Yeah.
Lincoln is now 6 months. So depending on
Mm.
how that's going, within 12 to 36 hours, the show that we do is converted to an MP4 and it's on YouTube.
Okay.
So all
Oh,
of our
nice.
shows since we started on Needle, actually, we're now, I think we're down around 1,500 of our archives are now on YouTube. So on a daily
Okay,
basis,
and
you'll be
then
able to catch.
the transcript is pasted under them?
Yes. Well, the transcript is there's actually Jeannie uses AI to do a description, to do a short description of
Right.
the session, and
But
then
all of but the
you
transcript is
can
in.
hit transcribe and it'll give you the transcription. Yes.
Okay. And then, so is it Dr. Michael Ryce or Michael Ryce on RYCE on YouTube? Is that
Yeah.
still the channel
YouTube
where we can
/
find
Michael
it?
Ryce, one word.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All
And we've
right. I
got
know you have
something
other
like
people.
1,500 videos there. So
I don't know if you have people waiting,
any
like allow
questions you
them.
got, you're with us right now. You're it. So one of the things people say, well, I don't want to take too much time. No, actually, the way we work is, as long as you've got a question or a thought, we're here for you, and then the next person will get that same attention. So any other questions, any way we can support any day, that's what we're here for. So any other
We love
questions
that.
that any of the three of you have or thoughts, please share them.
Right. No, not at the moment. I feel complete for now. We just listened to an hour and a half of one of the videos, and so I'm pretty soaked. And
Awesome.
there's actually many questions, but no, nothing that's coming up consciously. I like the way the energy, like I say, sometimes I get pulled into unconsciousness, but I don't go all the way. So it's a portal. I like to stay in the energy and be there and listen. And I know I'm being rewired. And I just wanted to express gratitude for your work and what you're doing. I even pulled up the what's it called? The Enlightenment book. And I know I've read it before, but man, this is brand new all over again. Just that's what I'm saying, just on a whole nother level.
And it's on the
Yeah, he knows what it
Caboras
is.
Codex. Yeah.
Yes. Every time you develop a new set of brain cells, whatever you look at is going to be totally new. Have you seen the movie? Let me get my brain there. The Accountant.
Yes, love it.
Powerful,
Yes.
powerful film. But at the end of
Mhm.
it, there's a song, and there's a line in that song that when I heard it, I was just like, oh man, that's such a huge explanation of why the perceptual mind, when we're living from it, is so disabled. And what the melody line in the song says, you can't read a book that you haven't written.
Ah,
Mhm.
In other words, I'm the only person on planet Earth that can read my book. You can sit down
that's
and
right.
read it, but when I say this word, what's firing in brain cells in my mind is not going to be the same thing as firing in your mind. You're reading your book based on what you read of my book. And if I were reading yours, it would be vice versa. And so
Right.
each time there's a new set of brain cells, I'm literally, and the things that have impacted me the most, I'm literally going to get to do a whole new level of work there.
Michael, could you talk a little bit about um, activating new brain cells? I love that concept, and I'd like to just hear a little of your
Yeah,
take on it.
sure. Well, everything that we perceive comes from the firing of brain cells. If I say, don't think about the color of your car,
Right.
and then I say to my audience, what are you thinking about? Everybody will say, well, I'm thinking about the color of my car, blue, red, whatever. Or I've had people say, well, I'm not thinking about it. It's like, oh, really? What is it you're not thinking about? Oh, yeah, the color of my car. Okay. So the mind works by resonance. If I set up a frequency, I've never said a word in my life. Never. You're not listening to me say words. But I do have a little flap of skin in my throat, and I've learned how to blow air over it so it vibrates molecules of the air. And if you were in the room with me, those moving molecules would hit your eardrum and cause an electrical frequency in your brain. The same way as my these air molecules vibrating the little thing here called a microphone being translated into the air flying through, and now it's all the way down there in Mexico and coming out a little plastic thing called a speaker in your phone, which vibrates air molecules and gets those air molecules hitting the little drum in your ear that creates an electrical frequency in your brain. So the fact is that we're not speaking words, we're emitting frequencies. And where there are matches in frequencies, that, when I say don't think about the color of your car, I know you've got brain cells for that. So those brain cells fire in you, that information fires in you. And when I talk about building brain cells, I'm not talking about building new physical structure, and I'm not talking about the physical brain. I'm talking about the fact that every cell in the structure has the capacity to store information. And literally, every energy that we have ever engaged in, whatever sense it came into us through, is stored holographically in every cell in the structure, including the sperm and the egg. So, were you to conceive a child tomorrow, that child would have in its structure every thought you've ever thought, every feeling you've ever felt, every reality you've ever engaged in, every issue you've never worked through.
Wow.
And one of my favorite sayings about children is having children is like having your unconscious mind hang out in true living color and Dolby sound. Because
Yeah,
everything
right.
everything that I've never dealt with is structured in my child's structure, but they don't have a stop button. And if I have an
Mm.
issue around it, that means there's an intensified energy in me that's going to resonate that energy in them, and they're going to tend to express it without a filter. And my take is that all punishment in the world is an attempt to try to get somebody to stop resonating what I don't want to feel and deal with in me, what's stored in my brain cell structure.
Right.
So we're talking about stored information, and forgiveness is about exposing stored information that is not based in truth. And the earmark, the marker for the fact that information is stored in me that's not based in the actuality of the world, in the truth, is that when it moves, there's some sort of hostility or fear attack. And whenever there is, that means in my brain cell structure, there's errant information. There's information that's off the mark. And what I want to do is breathe into that errant information, although it doesn't feel good because it's painful when it moves. I want to breathe into it. I want to allow myself to access it, and I want to process through it. And so as I process through it, then I'm literally transmuting that energy stored in brain cells that's maybe been served up in my bloodline for 50 generations and served up in my life
Right.
100 different times. And I'm transmuting that energy, freeing myself, which means I'm opening the energy window. One of the questions that often comes up is, well, can I change? I'm watching my child go through pain. Can I change their pain for them? Well, first question is, notice your pain, their pain matches your pain. You may be in denial about it, but that's like 99.9999, add another 100 nines there, and that percentage point is how predictable it is. It matches yours. And so to me, the biggest gift we can give to our children, and not just our children, but to the world. There's a great principle in the Course of Miracles that says, when you are healed, you are never healed alone. Each time you heal something, you're opening an energy window. So when I go in and do a particular piece of work and process through an energy that I'm holding in tissue, that is sin, that is energy that's off the mark, I
Right.
free myself from it. I open the energy window for anybody in the world, and in particular people I'm connected to free themselves of that same energy. And so, and I use an example, people will say, well, can I change it for them? Well, no, but here's a metaphor. We've got an old house here, and in the basement, there's an old, aluminum sliding glass door. And that door is so old, and the cracks in it are so bent up and broken up, and the gunk that's stored in them. Everybody in the family's gone down there and tried to open that door, and we just can't get it to budge. It's just frozen shut. That would be like an issue, a genetic issue that nobody in the family wants to face. If one person says, I'm going to deal with that, i.e., I'm going to get the tools and I'm going to go down, I'm going to clean all the crap out of the track, I'm going to replace the track, I'm going to replace the wheels, I'm going to lubricate everything, and now with one finger you can open that door. I can't open that door for another person that has that issue. But the fact that I've gone down and repaired the door means they can walk up to it with a finger and open it. That they're not
Yes.
going to have to do all that stress and strain and struggle. And literally, to me, that's a gift that we give to the whole world. Back about
Yeah.
a year and a half ago, I was doing a still point session, and I'm laying on the bed and my eyes are closed, and I get an instruction to look down. And it's like, I'm laying on the bed. What am I going to look down at? My eyes are closed. Look down. Okay, so I look down, and what I saw was a huge field of darkness. It was like a field of darkness so huge I couldn't even fathom the size of it. And in that field of darkness, there were little lights spread about, countless, like billions of lights. And I said, what am I looking at? And what I was told, what I was looking at, that I was looking at my generations and the unresolved trauma that they were living in.
Right.
Oh
And they were
man.
asking me if I would help to process that energy,
Nice. Yeah.
to which I instantly said, absolutely. In fact, I said it out loud. And usually when
Mhm.
I do a still point session, I've got my phone off, but this particular day I didn't have my phone off. And literally the instant I acknowledged that I would help to do that, my phone rang, and it was my son. My son is in his 30s at this point. Oh no, he's in his early 40s by that point. And we've never talked about our heritage, our family system. There's never been a conversation about it. The first words out of Michael J's mouth are, hey, Dad, I'm on Ancestry.com and I need some information about some of our ancestors.
Right. That's
I mean,
great.
all the confirmation that I needed that, okay, I got it. And, yeah, am I willing to soften and open my energy field to
Right.
allow all that needs to be exposed to love, all that? And in that session, I was also told that one of the problems is that these energetic patterns are quote unquote locked in bone. And I was asked
Right.
if I would be willing to open that deeply in my field to move those energetic patterns out of the genes.
Right.
And
One of
it's
my
certainly a
code
privilege.
sayings that I use all the time is change yourself to change the world.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
or change myself to change the world. And I have on my mom's side, I have some Jewish heritage, and on my dad's side, I have Lebanese. And I grew up with a Lebanese kind of village family that had immigrated to America. And, you know, I think about the Middle East a lot and how just I have, you know, clearing myself, continuing to clear myself of, I'm really aware, you know, childhood, hearing a lot of yelling and my uncles yelling at each other about world events and all different kinds of things. And, you know, just, you know, clearing that stuff for myself and knowing it's the best thing I can do for the Middle East, you know, is
Yeah,
keep clearing myself. And, um,
absolutely.
yeah.
I've got an article that I wrote on healing war in the Middle East and what needs to happen. I'll send you a copy of it
Okay.
because they talk about, you know, well, we're going to negotiate agreements and we're going to have, you know, compromise and we're going to do it. It's like that's all just bullshit. Pardon the
Yeah,
French. It's just crap. You
that's
know,
true.
you can make all the agreements and draw all the lines and fix all the external things you want until those minds are healed of their generational hatred for their brothers, and the Jews and the Arabs were brothers, our
Right.
brothers. Until they
Yeah.
feel the family squattable in each mind, there's not going to be any change in the Middle East. The game is going to go on the
Yeah.
same as it does in most family systems until somebody steps up and says, I'm going to go in and clean this up. I'm going to face it.
Right.
And it's
Or
it's
I
not
hear
easy. It's
people. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
it's,
Oh,
it's tough to do. You know,
yeah.
developing the skills, developing the tools, that's huge.
Right. Or, you know, I hear something about, oh, people saying something about a whole race, you know, and I just think this is ridiculous. You know, we're basically all one, and let's just clear ourselves and get back to, you know, what
That
our
oneness.
true way of operating is.
Exactly.
I just,
Here's a piece that I was planning on reading today, and it fits perfectly here. This was written by a man back in the 1700s about, you know, his understanding of doing the work. And here's what he says. As the light increases, we see ourselves to be worse than we thought. We are amazed at our former blindness as we see issuing forth from the depths of our heart a whole swarm of shameful feelings like filthy reptiles crawling from a hidden cave. We never could have believed that we harbored such things, and we stand aghast as we watch them gradually appear. But while our faults diminish, the light by which we see them waxes brighter, and we're filled with horror. Bear in mind for your comfort that we only perceive this malady when the cure begins. Francois Fenelon,
beautiful.
who died in
Yeah.
1715, I'm not sure exactly what date he wrote that, but it was pre 1715. And he's describing, you know,
Beautiful.
what the unconscious mind of virtually every one of us is filled with.
Right. Yep. Yep. Well,
and
it's a great
and what we
talk
need
with
to come
you.
up with the courage to face.
Yes, 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 yes. I just say onward and forward, and I cheer every single person on who's chosen to follow this path to do this work. Because, as you have said many times, if we had gotten this 2,000 years ago, we'd be living in a very different world.
Yep.
Aho.
Are you there? Hello, hello.
Timer's still
Excuse
going.
me, I'm here.
Mm.
I was just
Okay.
wondering if Tiffany had any thoughts and expressing the appreciation for connecting her, though she's been silent. Any thoughts or questions for you, Tiffany? Any way we can support you?
She stepped away. She's taking
Ah,
some
okay.
dishes to the sink.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't think she's quite ready for that, but
Ready to
she will.
speak
Sure.
up yet?
She'll talk to you one
Okay.
of these days. Yeah.
Awesome.
She has a lot of questions. She's just saturated right now because we just
I
listen
got it.
for now. Yeah, and
Another
it's
thing you can
definitely
do, you know, I don't know if you have, if you guys have downloaded the app yet from your app store, but if you search for
right.
Heartland
Yeah,
Aramaic Forgiveness,
yeah.
anytime questions come up, if you're in the app, on any page in the app, you can click a button, you can send a question, and Jeanie will get it. On the next radio show, we'll answer it. And then we'll send you back a link to the show to the archive of the show where you answered it. So any questions that come up, you don't have to get on the show, you don't have to say a word, but from within the app, you can just send it and we'll answer those questions the next show that after we
Right.
get them.
We'll
So that's
relay
another
that.
way to
That's
What a
communicate
great.
with us.
great aspect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, we just thank you and Jeanie and Dr. Tim and all the people that have been helpful behind the scenes for just continuing this work for so long and just being there. It's awesome.
Delighted. It's been my honor. It's been my privilege. It's actually, to a degree, it's been my choice, but to a degree, the universe kind of arranged circumstances where I didn't have a choice. So I'm appreciative of the
All
universe having pushed me too.
I hear you.
right.
I'm appreciative of the universe as well, with gratitude, in bliss, and loving my life.
Yeah.
I love where I'm at, and
Just the
I do.
fact of having a human life is so amazing. When you look at the universe and the expanse of it and what we know or don't know of it, just the fact that we have a human life and can have a conversation is like, people find
Yeah.
reasons to bitch and moan and complain. It's like you have a human life. Well,
Yeah.
what,
It's so
what,
precious.
what more do you
Yeah.
want?
And when we're playing in the most amazing hologram ever, I'm guessing this
I
is
think you're
amazing.
right.
There's no body here. There's no body here. How can this? It's mind-boggling, the high tech that we're in.
It is for sure.
Yeah. We get up
It
every
definitely
morning
is.
and just are so grateful. We just give thanks every day, just with amazement and open
Joining
hearts.
you in the
And
appreciation.
yeah. All right,
All right.
Michael. Well, we shall talk soon and be blessed as
All right. Take care.
always.
Blessings. All
Great
right.
hugs,
Bye bye.
things.
Received and returned. Take care. And Joe, I see you saying hello in the notes. How are you, young man? Any thoughts for you today? If you push the button, Joe, if you have a thought, the call button will bring you on and we'll have a conversation. Otherwise, anybody else out there with a thought, question? Hope that all we've said has made sense and maybe it's aroused some other questions. So if you just hit the talk button, we'll have a conversation about it. Yes. Let's see. Joseph, how are you, young man? I know you're outstanding in your field, right? Are you with us, Joe? Oh, I heard you
I'm in the
kick in there,
queue.
then you kicked out. There you are. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm rocking. I'm doing well. Thank you. How about you?
Yeah, heading back from Michigan. So,
Ah,
had a
so
nice
you're in airports, are you? Or
on the bus, shuttle bus to the airport.
ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, heading to warm country from
Oh my gosh.
Burr.
Yeah, double,
I, I
triple burr.
I have a piece of advice.
Uh
You can go there in the summer.
oh. Yeah, could have, and I probably will, but I uh, I miss the snow. I grew up in Connecticut, and I certainly I enjoyed it. We went for a walk yesterday. It was fabulous.
Nice.
Put on the boots and the long underwear and hats, scarves, and everything, and it was enjoyable. She has a nice piece of property I'm talking
That's a
about.
beautiful place.
Yeah, yeah, you've been there. Yeah,
We've been there. We did an intensive there. We're talking
yeah,
about doing another one with her. She suggested we come up and do another one. So we may come and do a
yeah.
quantum still point or something there. Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly right. Sounds
Yeah.
good. So your enthusiasm has risen. You
We're
got
rocking.
dates, huh?
I had a mega breakthrough for me. I don't know if you were on earlier when I was describing the an
No.
energy that
Uh-uh.
well, as long as worked in the arena of working on the energy field of the body and becoming aware of it, which is better than a half a century,
Yeah.
I've had an awareness of a line of energy that if I imagined exactly where it is in my body, would be right in the center of my heart. A line of energy that was about maybe 3 inches long, that was
Hmm.
always there as pain.
Hmm.
And this morning in my still point session, it disappeared.
Oh wow. Why?
So
Yeah.
it had been resonated. Some issues
Okay.
came up. This
Yeah.
morning I was doing breathing, and it was interesting because as I breathed, literally, as this energy undid, it literally lifted my body off of the bed about a half an inch or so. I mean, it literally,
Oh yeah.
my body kind of
Yeah.
contorted, and
Yeah.
whew, and all of a sudden, this energy that has been there as long as I can remember being aware of my body was gone.
Huh.
So,
Nice.
so there's definitely a new level. I think perhaps it had to do with circulation, and it feels like there's a
Oh.
new level of circulation and energy moving in my form as well as my awareness. So Yes, I'm excited.
Excellent. That's great.
I'm
That's
rocking.
good.
It's
I wanted to, let me add, I wanted to at least plant the seed today, and that is, we're reading, Michelle and I are reading The Commitment to Each Other, and it's absolutely highly recommended. I mean, it just helps throughout the day, and we really had a fabulous weekend. And but
right.
I wanted to say, what about a commitment to being sober? What about, my commitment to what,
Sobriety.
sobriety, or whatever stimulus, whatever addiction there may be. I mean, I could see how a statement like that could help. Anyway, it's just a thought. I don't know.
An excellent thought. I'm looking right now to see if I can find it because I was just working with this the other day. We had talked about the commitment, and so there was a particular person who'd been having challenges with alcohol, and the note that I wrote to her was, "I support you proclaiming this the year I take care of me. This year I eat well, sleep well, exercise, smile at myself and others each day, consistently, persistently do my inner work until
Yeah,
all of my behaviors are loving, gentle, and respectful
yeah,
toward myself and others."
yeah. I lost you for a
I,
while. Go ahead.
oh, okay. So I was just starting to read a commitment that someone had written,
Oh,
basically in that
oh,
arena.
okay.
Yeah. So
Send it to me if you get a chance.
I'll do that. I
Okay.
will send it to you.
All right.
Cool. Any other thoughts for you, sir?
Just that it's not easy being you. I can see that, and good thing Jeannie's around to support you. We appreciate you, Jeannie. Thank you.
Yay, we do 2,000%.
Thank
And
you,
of
sir.
course, never have issues come up. So
Never.
awesome. Any other
See you.
thoughts for you?
No, that's it, brother. Thank you.
All right, you have a blessed one. Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.
So we'll say hello to Celinda. Welcome, young lady. How is Celinda?
Hello, Michael and G. I am good, and can you hear me?
Your voice is a little
Hello?
bit low, but I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, good, good. Because I'm still listening to the show and comments back from you and Dr. Tim about the quality of my voice, so I can find out if it's me, my phone, or if it's the show. And the other day I called in and they could hear me really well. So you have been fading in and out. There have been glitches today, both you and Dr. Tim. I appreciate so much Allende having you on, and that you are helping him defrag his show. And
Right.
so that's a really old term, isn't it,
It
Michael?
is. Yes,
Um,
definitely.
I was, I would really appreciate that commitment to sobriety,
Okay.
abstinence, whatever it is, because I am realizing that everything is sourced from me, from my stuff, and that if I want to be taken care of, I need to honor myself. And so I would love to have that commitment for myself.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll uh, I'll go here and finish sharing it right now. So
Oh, perfect.
the declaration that this is the year I take care of me. This year I eat well, sleep well, exercise, smile at myself and others each day, consistently, persistently doing my inner work until all of my behaviors are loving, gentle, and respectful toward myself and others. I make this the year I study what it takes to do all of this and then learn deeply and practice the causes of health. If failure to achieve any of these areas presents itself, I make the commitment to learn and work toward and practice the necessary skills to heal in that area so that I create the best year yet of my eternal life. I refrain from
Oh,
all unnatural substances and go uphill in that commitment so that each year that follows improves exponentially. And then it's followed up with the commitment to myself. I promise to trust myself enough to tell myself the truth, to be true to me, and always engage in just and fair behavior with myself and others. I choose to claim my true nature by keeping the commitment to always be sweetness in my life and the lives of every person I think about. I will nurture myself and others daily and treat us lovingly, gently, and with respect in my thoughts, my words, and actions for eternity. In every interaction, I commit to affection for myself and others, to look for and acknowledge the highest and best in us as I surrender to love, the true nature we share. I will use only voice tones that reflect my deep caring for us both. My connection to love, our source, gratitude for my life and relationship with all others, and our serenity will always be more important than any issue. I open my being to be embraced in the love of others. I open my being to embrace others in my love. If anything unlike love comes up in me, I will hold myself and us in my heart as I listen and learn to speak, experience, and be responsible for and forgive my own pained realities. I'm here for life. I promise to speak only truth as I communicate, keep communication open, and keep love conscious, active, and present as we heal, celebrate life, and grow together.
now that commitment to self is on the website. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, it is.
And is it possible, with the author's permission, to put that other commitment on the website as well? The one
We'll
you
do it.
read
We'll
first?
do it, and I'll send you a copy of it. I'll text you a copy.
That would be. Thank you so much.
Absolutely honored and delighted, young lady. Just doing my job.
It's all. Pardon?
Just doing my job.
Well, I have realized that what my job is too. And by the way, I have a new word for this year.
What's that?
Still. STIL. Be still.
You mean like going
Still.
out in the backwoods and using the still?
That, well,
No,
not
not that
not
one. No, a
really. The
different still.
that's,
Okay, I got it.
that's idea you put it in my head. It's all your fault. Anyway, so now I have abide and I have gentle, and thanks to you, I have listened. And this is my fourth year. And it was a real struggle between silence and still, but I went for still. And I just want to let you know.
Well, that's one of the reasons it's called still point breathing, because it is in
Yeah.
that place where the energy system's vitality becomes high enough that breath is no longer needed. And literally, my take is that at that point, we go into a superconductor state. And a superconductor is an item that, imagine that I've got a neighbor down the road that calls me and says, "Hey, my electricity's out. Do you have an extension cord so I can get a drill working so I can fix this?" And I say, "Sure." Well, actually, I don't have an extension cord, but I have 500 5-foot extension cords, and I'll plug them all in and I'll bring them down the hill to you. And of course, with 500 5 or 6 foot extension cords, there's a lot of resistance in those cords. So if I plug it in here in the wall in my house and I measure the voltage, it's probably going to be a full 120 volts. But when I get down the road a mile away at my friend's house and I put the meter on, because of the resistance in those cords, the voltage is probably going to be more like about 80 volts. And if he plugs it in and turns his drill on, it'll probably drop to 50 volts or less, which will burn out the drill. So the alternative to that is if I had a superconductor that I plug in the wall here and I measure 120 volts, I walk down to his house a mile away with the other end of the cord, I measure 120 volts, he plugs in the drill, it stays 120 volts, and there's a proper energy flow through the wire. That's a superconductor. And my take is that when you look at that Aramaic idea of Satan, the resistor, one who misleads, when we tighten, when we lock down, when we go into physiological resistance, And this is what we're addressing big time in the quantum still point. When we go into physiological resistance, the flow of information, the flow of energy is restricted. And when one goes into still point, physiologically, that's a superconductor state. And that's when people can go into high speed processing and move literally years of old trauma in minutes in that still point state. So the stillness is definitely
Michael?
key.
Yeah, I would be at your quantum still point in a heartbeat because I'm 80. I'd like to, it would be nice to speed things up if that's Rukha's desire for me, and I'm sure it is. Um, I have two main concerns, and one is a resistant husband, and the other one is um, uh, the um, the assets flow. So I just want to let you know anything I can catch from the program. It gives me hints. That doesn't take any more time because I get feedback that's um, not pleasant. So I just thought, and that's okay because it's my learning ground, and we're doing really well overall, financially
Awesome.
and in our relationship. And I'm just learning to honor him more and more and more. But that's
Fabulous.
where my heart would be. That's where my heart would be, and is in a quantum still point. And if I can learn it somehow via the inner, I would be very, very grateful. Because I'm,
Well,
of
one of
course, like Julie, non-resistant, resistant person I know.
I
I love that expression.
and
I sure hope she has an opportunity to
yeah,
listen in.
what I would suggest you do at this point, because you did the codependence to interdependence online intensive, I'd suggest you go back to
Right.
the archives of that. You've got an email with all those links in it. Get the one with one of the still
Right.
point sessions, isolate it, and start to utilize that to support you in
Okay.
doing your still point breathing work,
Oh,
especially when something's up in your face.
yeah, yeah. And of course, it's up in our face because we put it there.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's a bummer of an insight, isn't it?
And this is a co-creative universe we're living in. We're co-creating with the creator, and creator says, okay, like Tim Rice, I'm sorry, Tim Hayes says, okay, the God response. I'm right there for you.
Yes, if it's what you want,
I love it.
the creator will deliver it for sure. All right. Well, any other
And that's a
thoughts? We're down
good,
to the last few
that's a
seconds.
stay, yeah, that's a good reason for staying out of wants, right? And lacks and needs and plunging into the abundance of what the creator would love to have us receive.
All right. Well, you have a blessed one.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you all.
All right. Lots of love. Take care.
Blessings.
Bye bye.